Lauren with the University of Georgia Cobb County Cooperative Extension Office, and today we are out here at Crossroads Community Garden on Johnson's Ferry Road. You see lots of master gardeners behind me working and getting the gardens ready, and we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. But first off, I want to start out by introducing Stan Kirk. Stan is the president of the Cobb County Farm Bureau. And Stan, I thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thanks, Hope.
There's several things that I want to talk about, but first off, can you tell us a little bit about the Farm Bureau and what it does?
Sure. Cobb County Farm Bureau is a nonprofit company, and our goal is to promote ag literacy throughout schools in Cobb County and the state, and also to help with farm legislation. We travel to Washington to talk to our representatives. We travel to state capitol to talk to representatives about farm legislation, just to make sure they're aware of what's going on and what they need to know when they make important votes related to agriculture.
Great, and you know, we see things like this, the community gardens throughout the county. Our master gardeners work in several of them and work with several of them. But you know, when I started coming to the Farm Bureau meetings a few months ago, I was really surprised at how many farms that we still have in Cobb County. They're kind of, I think, towards the outskirts of the county, but there are still several farms there. So
that's right.
I've learned a lot coming to your meetings, and I know we'll learn a lot today. You've got several events coming up. One of them I want to start with is the Farm Expo. If you can kind of tell us what that's about, when it's going to be, and what's going on with that.
Okay. Well, Cobb County Farm Bureau and Cobb County Soil and Water Conservation District have teamed up to form the Georgia Farm and Erosion Control Expo. It's going to be held April 29th at Jim Miller Park from 9 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon. We'll have several soil and erosion control vendors there. They'll be doing some recertification classes and some continuing education classes talking about the Green Book and soil and water conservation practices. We've also got the Georgia Department of Agriculture will be there with the Georgia Grown brand, talking about that and what it takes to become Georgia Grown. We also have Georgia Farm Bureau doing a legislative update. And with that, we have a panel where we've invited representatives from Senators Isaacson and Perdue and Congressman Price, Scott, and Loudermilk to come and sit on a panel just to ask questions when they come up. We'll also have a Meet the Candidates forum that day, where people can come out and meet candidates for the upcoming elections. The keynote speaker is former Governor Roy Barnes, and he's going to talk about the importance of soil and erosion control activities to current economies. And then the big speaker we've also got coming in is Zippy Duval, who is the president of American Farm Bureau. And he's going to talk about the current national ag forecast and outlook and what's going on nationwide with agriculture.
Which is very important. We don't really think about those kind of things on a daily basis. We're used to going to the grocery store and getting food or you know, just going to the farmer's market or whatever, but you don't think about what's behind all of that and what's rolling along to make all that happen. And that's where you all come in this Farm Expo. And I know former Governor Barnes is an excellent speaker, full of all kinds of information, and he's Cobb County homegrown. So he's from here. We're really excited about Zippy Duval being there. So it's going to be a great, great day. And of course, they'll see you, and Extension will be out there. We'll have our 4-H out there, our agricultural department, so there's going to be lots of people involved, so it's going to be a really great activity. Another thing that I know you all have coming up that I am personally very excited about is the farmers market. Now, one of the things that we do in the Extension office is we sometimes go out to the various farmers markets and we do cooking demonstrations or food demonstrations that don't require cooking using the fresh produce from the farmers market. So we're hoping to jump in on that. But can you talk a little bit about the farmers market that's coming to Cobb?
Sure. Well, Cobb County Farm Bureau has gotten together with Lost Mountain Park and Cobb County Parks and Recreation to form this farmers market. The grand opening is May 24th. It's a Tuesday night, and the farmers market will run every Tuesday from May 24th till October from 3 to 7 on Tuesday afternoons. We feature locally grown products. So farmers from this area within a 50-mile radius, and they have to produce their own products. They can't resell products. So these are things that they've grown or they've made out of their own products.
Great, great. So who are some of the vendors that are coming?
Well, right now we have several farms in the local area. Andy Bray with Bray Family Farms, Southern Roots Farms will also be there. Several other, we've got some beekeepers that are going to come out with some local honey.
Oh, that'll be great. And I'm sure there's lots of other vendors that'll be added on as we go. And you said it starts in May?
Starts May 24th.
And it goes through?
Through October.
3 to 7.
That's right.
That's a good time in the evening to have it because it's kind of cooling down a little bit. That's a hot time of year, so it'll be cooling down a little bit.
Right.
Well, great. I'm really excited about that, and I'm looking forward to that. The final thing that I wanted to ask you about is the Farmers Night Out. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is and who comes and where you meet and all that kind of, and the goal of having that? Okay.
Well, we started Farmers Night Out last fall, and we've had 3 or 4 meetings now, and we speak on a certain farm topic each month. The March meeting will be March 28th. It's the 4th Monday of every month at 6:30. We start out with potluck dinner. People just bring whatever they want to eat, and then we'll start with the meeting about 7 o'clock. The March meeting will feature beekeepers. So we'll have some local beekeepers there talking about how they get the honey and what it takes to produce the honey, and just give people a little knowledge of how beekeeping works.
The importance of pollination and all that stuff, yes.
That's right. We also have several other topics throughout the year. The goal for this is to bring farmers together, local farmers. You mentioned you're seeing more and more farms in Cobb, West Cobb, East Cobb. There's farms all over Cobb, and we're trying to bring those farmers together and ultimately create a farm directory where if you go into our office on Powder Springs Road, you can get a copy of this directory so that you'll know where the farms are, and you can go out and visit these farms and buy their products on the farm and talk to them and see their farms.
That would be fantastic, because I know a farm directory is something that we have talked about for a very long time, and it's just hard to get something like that together because the outreach is so hard. So this is a great outreach for that. Now, I know farmers can come and people that are interested in farmers, but is it open to anybody that wants to come in and learn about their local farmers?
Yes, it's open to anybody that wants to come in. We do have a lot of farmers that come there, and anyone that wants to learn about farming, or if you want to just come learn about honeybees this month, you can come in and learn. We'll have one night coming up featuring horse farming. We'll have vegetable farming. Last month we talked about how to start out your spring garden.
So that's some topics that are really coming up, because it's getting time to start thinking about that and working on your yard. Another thing that I wanted to ask you about, and I have a special interest in this since it comes out of our 4-H department, but we have a Young Farmers Club in Cobb County, and you are the volunteer leader. You and your son Brandon are the volunteer leader for that farm club, and you work with a couple of our staff, Kimberly Taylor and Kathleen McElroy. Could you tell us a little bit about that and the age group that it hits on, and kind of the activities that you all do in nights of your meetings?
Okay. Well, we teamed up with 4-H last year to form this Young Farmers Club. It's mainly from 4th to 12th grade, which follows the 4-H ages, but we can have younger kids if they want to come. That's fine. Any kids that want to learn about farming. Last summer we did a couple of farm tours. We went to Governor Barnes' farm to see his cows, and they loved that. They had never seen cows close up, and they loved seeing those cows. Later we went to Bray Family Farms, and we got to see cows and chickens and several other farm animals and see some of the crops that he was growing. And the kids just loved it because they'd never seen farm animals close up, and just the chance to go out and touch them and to see the vegetables growing and pick some of the vegetables. They really had a good time with that.
Well, you know, I went on the one where you went to Bray Family Farms, and I loved it. But watching the kids was a lot of fun because like you say, they'd never seen these animals this close up, and making that connection with where our food comes from, where our milk comes from, is very important. But one thing I took out of that was how close I could get to the cows. You know, they just came right up to you, and you could literally touch them, and the little goats following you around, and it's just a part of life that we don't always see, and it's a wonderful part that we would love to share with everyone. So thank you so much for the work that you do with the Farm Bureau. thank you so much for the volunteer work that you do with Cobb County Cooperative Extension.
You're welcome.
You're a volunteer leader. You serve on our advisory board, and we value your time, and we thank you for coming out here with us today.
Well, thanks, Hope.
Thank you. Now we have a couple of our Cobb County Master Gardeners, Randy Threet and Trudy Strawn, that are here to talk to you about the Master Gardener Plant Sale and Fair, and then the Master Gardener Garden Tour coming up. So we hope you enjoy the segment. Thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you in just a few more minutes.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where the ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
I've always said that you can't change what you don't acknowledge. So let's acknowledge this. 1 in 6 Americans now struggle with hunger. These are our co-workers, our neighbors, our friends. The problem is closer than you think. But so is the solution. This is a changing day, not just in your life, but in the lives of many, many others. Join me by visiting feedingamerica.org and find your local food bank to help. I'm Dr. Phil, and together we're Feeding America.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Hi, we're at Crossroads Community Garden in East Cobb. My name's Randy Threet.
And I'm Trudy Strawn.
So welcome to the garden. I've just come from pruning the roses. Do you know that the garden's going to be on tour?
It is.
And you know you're going to be on tour.
My garden's on tour too, and that's what I just got done doing. Cuts all over. Pruning roses, especially my grandmother's rose.
Oh, tell the story about your grandmother's rose.
My grandmother planted a rose the day I was born. And
just yesterday.
Just yesterday, thank you. When it grew up the whole back side of her house in West Virginia, and I got a picture of she and I when I was 50 and she was 100 in front of that rose. And then she unfortunately passed away at 103. And I got 3 clippings of that rose and brought it back to Atlanta with me. And now, at least last Mother's Day, I had over 3,000 blooms on that rose.
What kind of rose is it?
It's a New Dawn Climber.
What else is in your garden that's going to be on tour? You have other roses, don't
I have
you?
about 45 roses now, so that will be my feature. And it's a small cul-de-sac garden, which I've pretty much put plants everywhere I could fit them in. And we're here at the community garden. I have a bed here because I used to have a vegetable garden in my front yard because it was the only place I had sun, much to the chagrin of my husband and my neighbors. So now I get to do community garden here and full sun gardening at home with lots of perennials and beautiful plants.
Trudy and I garden here for the same reasons. We need the full sun, and then you have the community that's fun to interact with, and we learn things from one another. And it'll be on tour so the public can come and see how a community garden works and functions. And then isn't the Wright Center on it as well?
Wright is on
the
the tour as
Educational
well.
Center, the Jean and Elrod Wright Center right next door, and that will be part of the tour. It's a gorgeous woodland garden. Have you ever been in the Wright Center?
I've walked through it and did a little bit of volunteer work there too as a master gardener.
Who else is on the tour this year? I know it's all in East Cobb.
We have 4 other Master Gardeners' homes that are on the tour, and they're teaching gardens to teach people that you can do this yourself. You don't have to have a hired gardener to do it for you. And then we have a school garden as well. So there are the community garden represented here by Crossroads, right, and then 4 homes and a school.
Which school is on the tour?
Fair Oaks, and I think they're all a very, very good example of things that you can do in your own home garden.
That's the exciting thing about going into the schools. That's one of the things Master Gardeners do. We help schools set up in-school gardens on the property of the school to teach children about nutrition combined with growing the vegetables. So educational on a lot of fronts. Isn't there a plant sale a week or two before the garden?
I'm excited about that because we're here in the garden now. We're actually filming in March. You won't be watching this until April, so by the time you see it, it'll be time to plant. But in April 22nd and 23rd at Jim Miller Park, we have a huge plant sale. We also have a lot of vendors there too that you can get. Last year I bought a beautiful bench for my garden and some beautiful yard art. The herbs for my garden here and my garden at home, really, really good deals too, so it's worth the trip. April 22nd and 23rd, and then Mother's Day weekend is our tour, our garden tour that we talked about a little bit earlier. So I'm anxious. It's such a beautiful day today. You want to put your plants in today, but it's not time. Our last average frost in our zone 7B is about
April 15th.
April 15th, yeah. So tax day, remember, plant all of those vegetables, annuals and things around tax day.
What are you going to plant this year?
Here, tomatoes. I don't think there's anything better than a tomato picked right off the vine. I eat it like an apple with a little bit of salt. And then some herbs in the front. I have raspberries here. They're pretty prolific, but I love raspberries, and I do strawberries and mints in the front of the garden. What are you planting?
Beans. April 15th, my pole beans go in, so I've got a lot of work to do between now and then. I have to amend the soil, need to get a soil test, so I have to do that later this morning. I'll get another sample from the garden and take it into the extension office, and they send it off to UGA, and within a very short period of time you know all about the dirt that you're going to use to plant. So that's first on my list. Then I get my husband in the truck and bring the bean cages out and plant on April 15th. So it's just fun to be back in the garden. The Cobb County Community Garden Council has a new website. You can get all kinds of information there. It's cobbcommunitygarden.com.
And don't forget our Master Gardener website.
What's it?
cobbmastergardeners.com.
So 2 go-to resources if you want to know what to plant and how to plant it. And you can always call your extension office. There's somebody there willing to help you and guide you through how to make your garden the best this year. So I guess that's it for us. I'm glad the roses are done.
Yeah, it's always in our zone 7B. I'm studying to be a consulting rosarian, and in our zone 7B you should prune your roses by St. Patrick's Day. So we just finished that up in all of our gardens.
Oh, Trudy, forgot to say, where do you get garden tickets for the tour?
Well, you can get them at the extension office. We have a brochure of the whole garden tour. There's a QR code on there that you can highlight and get the information, or you can get them on our website, cobbmastergardeners.org. I said .com before, it's .org. Or stop by the extension office and see our folks there.
Or any Master Gardener in your community. Master Gardeners have the tickets available for sale. So thank you for joining us in the garden, and we'll see you the next time.
The land-grant university system was created to advance agricultural and mechanical sciences 150 plus years ago. And we realized that some of the research that was coming from out of the land grants, it was not reaching the people. So the Smith-Lever Act was passed 100 years ago. The purpose of that act was to create the Cooperative Extension Service, which was to take the research that was created by the land-grant universities and actually give it to the people who could use it.
And so that was the genesis for the creation of the Extension Service, or the Cooperative Extension Service, as it was called at that time. It was to take the research-based information from the university, from that land-grant school, and get it to the people who need it so that they could use it to improve their lives, their economy, and to improve agriculture.
Well, I lived on a farm until I went off to be in the Navy and to go to college. And my father was a very fine and aggressive farmer. And of course, the source of our advice when Daddy wanted to do something better or learn about a new species of peanut or cotton or corn was to go to the Extension Service. And they gave him whatever advice he needed. And it was just like a constant source of inspiration and advice and counsel, and sometimes correction when he was doing something wrong. And as I grew older and when I came back from the Navy and spent the next 17 years as a full-time farmer, I saw firsthand the great value of what the Extension Service offered to everyone in our county, not just farmers, but everybody in the merchants and others who did business with farmers and depended on agricultural income.
My earliest experience with the Cooperative Extension Service came as a result of joining the 4-H Club when I was probably in a middle school age group. They encouraged us to participate in competitions, and we had to learn our various project areas and make presentations in the local and the district competitions. And also, I began to show livestock as a part of my 4-H project and continued to do that for a number of years. So the Cooperative Extension Service and its supervision of 4-H was an important part of my younger years.
I serve Fulton County. It's a large county. We don't have that many farmers, but we have a lot of people. And we have a lot of families that just simply need help. So Extension brings that human touch to our community. We answer the questions directly. We give it to you in a manner that you can understand and you can use, and you can apply it immediately. So Extension is kind of like that friend next door. You may not talk to them every day, but you're really glad that they're there.
One of the advantages that we have is that we're always on the cutting edge of the newest information, the newest research that's coming out of the University of Georgia. And we are a direct source that our clients can come to find that information. We're a filter for that information, and we are able to explain it in a way that people can use it for practical everyday application, whether it's on the farm, in their families, or in their communities.
An increasingly important element of Georgia's and America's total production of food will have to be designed toward meeting the needs of our own country and other nations more than it has been in the past. So I think the gamut of influence of Extension Service, I don't think has been minimized in recent modern days, but I think the opportunities to expand their influence has been greatly increased now, and I believe in the future.
I think the future for cooperative extension across the nation is very strong, and I know in our state it is.
The simple problems in agriculture have been solved, and they've been solved for the last 100 years or so. Only complex problems remain. Our researchers on our land-grant universities working in multidisciplinary teams will provide solutions for these complex and complicated problems. But how you transfer that information back to the farmer, back to the agribusiness, back to the family or the youth development specialists through 4-H is going to be very different. That's where cooperative extension has always been good. That's what their strength is, and that's where we see them being so important in the future.
We're continuing to see evolution in the production of agricultural products, and I expect that to continue. We will probably have fewer farms, but larger farms. And the Cooperative Extension Service certainly has a role to play in that new structure. They've adapted very well to the changing circumstances and the changing economy of our country over the last 100 years, and I have every reason to believe that they will continue to do that here in Georgia for the next 100 years.
The most rewarding part of my job is being able to help people and provide current research-based information for our clients. They come to us over and over for that information because they see us as the #1 source of information that they can rely upon, whether it's for their farm, their agribusiness, or for their families.
Real life changes. Extension brings real life changes, and being that agent in the community on the ground, being that agent to serve is a pretty miraculous thing.
In all the ways that I had an early developmental life in earning a living and learning how to live as a productive citizen, I would say the Extension Service had a major beneficial effect on me.
Each year, our children are put at risk by drivers who ignore bus stop arms and warning lights. In Cobb County alone, more than 1,000 drivers ignore them every day. The Cobb Police Department and Cobb schools have partnered with Operation Stop Arm to educate drivers about the new law to save lives.
Tragically, a young child was killed at a bus stop by a passing car in 2009.
While we were being interviewed by the news crew, a driver ran through the stop arm of the bus.
We had just installed new stop arm cameras on some of our buses and were able to hand the photo over to law enforcement. And now, with the new law, hopefully we will reduce violations of the stop arm law and have additional evidence to cite violators.
Drivers who pass a school bus with a stop arm activated can receive up to a $1,000 fine from the court and get 6 points tacked onto their driver's history. It is a serious offense.
So next time you're in a hurry and you're tempted to pass a stopped school bus,
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. Stop the texts. Stop the wrecks. Visit us at stoptextsstopwrecks.org.